name is Canute Neil Ellis, and I'm here with you on Facebook. And it's a special edition of In My World in conjunction with iTunes Entertainment Magazine out of Florida. Let me tell you, these guys are doing amazing, awesome things. All right, I'm doing some cool stuff for them. And we're going to be talking about, I make some quick notes. We're going to be talking about 3 things you need to know before you get the best mix. All right, so why are we going to talk about that? I am a music producer. I'm also an engineer, and I've been doing this for 23 years. So I've been around the block, and I think I've survived quite a few storms. And so I'm here to talk to you about 3 simple things that you need to know before you get the best mix ever. So all the music producers, all the musicians, or the engineers, and you, the singer, the artist, the performer. These are some things that you could know. So I'm going to refer to my notes. I have my notes here, and we're talking about 3 things you need to know before you get the best mix. Now, cost. That's the first thing. A lot of people reach out to me and go, "Hey, Canute, love your work," or "I've seen your work," or "Somebody told me I should get in touch with you. What's the cost?" And silly me, I would go and send costs, and then before I know it, they either starting to price gouge, or they start to tell me all kinds of things. And I couldn't figure this out for the life of me. I couldn't figure it out until my coach said to me, "Wait up. If you're going to be going into this thing about money, the first thing, then you're not seeking out the right clients, and those clients are probably not your best clients." So cost is always the first thing people talk about. And I used to talk about investment. And I used to talk about the investment you make as an artist and the return on this investment that you make. Now, here's where I learned the formula of how we have to go these 3 things. So cost is what you pay the engineer, right? I.e. me. And then value is what you believe you're getting. What value are you getting from getting your song mixed? Investment is now what you the money that you pay. Return on the investment now is what the money you make. So you're a singer, you're a performer, you are somebody that's in the arts, and you want somebody to mix or edit your song, and you want to know the cost and what entails, the value or what you're getting for that cost, and the investment you're making. Now you're also making the investment on yourself. Yes, you are. You're making the investment in yourself. Now, a lot of people, all they want to do is know how much they're going to pay, and they want this mix, and they want it for the cheapest price. Now, my grandma used to say, "You get what you pay for." Now, not in the case of a professional, or not in the case of some people, because some people will, kind of scale their prices back just to suit either the clientele or where they are. In the case of what's going on right now, people are kind of like slashing their prices. But let me reel it in. Now, if you're just into how much you can get this one thing down to this minute amount for, then you're just going to be rushing the process. For me, I want to be a part of things that is going somewhere. It's not just about the money. It's more, I found out that I am more into passion projects. And what that means is I want to work with things that I'm passionate about. Because if I'm not passionate about it, then it's not going to be a cool situation. Now, the cost, if the cost is driving you to pick the engineer that you're going to work with, then I want you to rethink that. Because the value and the investment is what you should be focusing on. What value is this person going to give you? I personally want the experience between you and I, the artist or the performer, what we can achieve with this synergy, what we can achieve with this partnership, right? I want that for myself. It's not about the money. I have had several people, even recently this week, hey, what's your cost? What's your cost? And when I started asking a few questions, they're all riled up. The truth is, I'm speaking to you now, engineers, you don't want those clients. Nope, I don't. One person kind of told me off, like, oh, you're not serious about business. Yes, I am. Because if you can't fill my form out of the simple things that I asked you, and I don't want this to sound like I'm rambling, but I have a form when you inquire to say, hey, how does this go? I give you a simple form. And if you don't fill that form out, simple with a couple questions, or if you have a problem with that, then that tells you or that tells me that I'm going to have a problem. That means you're trying to bully me into your world. And you're coming to me for my vibe and my take. You're in my world. Now, this might not sound so appealing to some, but the truth is, if you're wanting somebody to work with you, say, for example, a producer or an engineer or a musician, you're going to them for their vibe. You're going to them for their sonic signature. You're going to them for their sound. You're going to them because you either got referral or because you've seen their work. I have a serious problem. I have a real pet peeve. If you know my work, and then when you're trying to ask me how much it is, you're saying, send me some samples of your work. Let me tell you this. I don't need to point. Let me tell you this. Don't waste my time and yours. All right. So off my soapbox, off the rambling. We're talking about 3 things you need to know about mixing, or 3 things you need to know, pardon me, to before you get the best mix. Cost, the value, and the investment. The cost is what you pay the engineer. The value is what you're getting overall. And the investment is the money you pay. And in return on the investment, obviously, if you make a good investment, meaning you have a good product, then obviously you're going to get great return on investment. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. For those of you who are joining, I'm reading from my notes. The thing you ought to know about making the investment now is this. You're not paying an engineer, or you're not paying somebody on your team to get your song out for what you deem as use this much hours. You are getting way much more than that. You're getting their years of experience, you're getting the know-how, and the truth is you can't pay somebody for their time. They absolutely can't pay you for your time, engineers. What they are paying you for is the fact that you're using lights, you're using your studio setup, you need to, pay your subscription on your plugins and things like that. Now, is it worth it for $1? Is it worth it for $100? You decide. If it's a passion project, if it's something that you have synergy with the person and you really want to be like the song, I get suckered into this. Sometimes a person's attitude is not the best. Sometimes the money isn't the best, but the song, the material is something that you want to be aligned with. And that's where sometimes you have a little thing because you're passionate about it, and then the business side of things. So if you're that type of a person that wants passion projects and things, have somebody deal with the business side of things. I'm getting more into that. So you want to reach out to me, you send me an email, send me a DM. If you get me starting to talk to you, chances are I'm going behind my team's back, and I'm gonna be running ahead of my process. So let's talk about that. Have a process. You're an audio engineer, you're a producer, you're a musician. Have a process. Somebody reaches out to you, DM, text, call, and they say, hey, I'm working on this. How much do you charge? You need to ask a series of questions. And the series of questions is, 1, what's your budget? I'm seeing some notification here. Okay, cool. 1, what's your budget? Can you guys hear me? Send me a heart. Facebook changed something recently. I'll come back to my point. Let me see. Let me tell you. Okay, cool. I look kind of cute. All right. Anyways, budget. We're talking about budget. So Have a budget. For those of you who want to do songs, for those of you who want to do a project, have a budget. That means you have to have a budget for the musician, the producer, the engineer, how much you're going to pay to upload your song for digital distribution, CD, artwork, photo shoot. The list goes on and on. I'll stop at that 7. You have to have a budget. If you're starting to work in a vacuum, meaning you paying as you go and you're trying to figure it out, and if somebody charges $500 on a regular and you want it for two or 150, the truth is you have to have a budget. And if you have a budget, you know you're what you call a wiggle room, right? So have a budget because the conversations will be much easier to have. Meaning, if you contact me, the first question I'm going to ask is one, what's your budget? Simple. What's your budget? And if you say you don't have one, then I know you're not serious. If you have 7 and 8 and 10 and 12 albums and you don't have a budget, you're wasting my time because you've been around the block 7 or 8 or 12 times. So, for those of you who have never done it before and you don't know what a budget, now I can understand. It's your first song, you don't know. You say, hey, I don't know my budget. What's it typically cost? Then we can have a different conversation. Now, budget is something that's gonna lead you down the road of what value you're getting. So say you have a budget of $300, right? Or say you have a budget of $300 and to mix a song isn't $300. Now you're going to say, hey, I have a budget of $300. Now it tells me that you're either fibbing or you do have a budget of $300 and you're trying to see how you could squeeze that in. Now, obviously, you can't have a budget of $300, whether it's US, Euro, or what's the highest ranking of currency. None of those can do a full song. Now, if you have a budget of $300 to mix a song, then you're talking. Then we can kind of fit you in a situation, right? So we're talking about cost, value, and investment. So the value is what you're getting, and the investment is now what you're making. Now, if you don't have a good mix, chances are people won't get to hear your song. Meaning it won't jump out at them, it won't captivate them. Now let's talk about that investment. When you have somebody that has a passion for mixing, i.e. me, they're going to make sure that sonically your song sounds great all across the board. It's mixed well, it's mastered well, and people are going to be the one that's talking about how they can hear the nuances and the dynamism in your song, in your voice, or in your material, right? So that now determines where your song will be placed and heard and how much time people think. Because the truth is, if your song doesn't sound good or your material doesn't sound good, your product doesn't sound good, people won't want to listen to it. You have things like sonic signatures that will fatigue people. When they listen to it, it's too loud. It kind of hurt their ears, or they don't feel the vibe and all that stuff. That's where you have an experienced person that's done it for a while. They know what are going to be the push points or the not push points for getting people to hear your song and listen to your song minutes on end. Right. So what makes a good mix? Clarity and understanding the vision and budget. Now, if the budget, I'll use the last one. If the budget is one that can't afford somebody to use the amount of time or the studio that they want, that now diminishes your return on investment. Meaning, if they normally take 10 hours, you can take 10 hours to mix a song and more. If they normally take 10 hours, but your budget now they take 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours. Now they're rushing and they're racing against the clock. That's the reason why I personally don't want that. I'd rather mix your song for free. I said it. My team is going to flag me for that. I'd rather mix your song for free than you tell me to mix it in 2 hours. I'd rather take my sweet little time and mix it. Trust me, I've done it before and I'll do it again. I don't want to be racing against the clock. Now, if you want to boom, 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 and in and out, I'm not your guy, right? So the next thing is the vision. What's your vision for your project? What's your vision for your song? What's your vision for your material? I want to know that because many a times you have a vision and you didn't share that, and then I can never hit that target. It's what we call a moving target. Like, for example, you have a song and it's a ballad, or it's a hybrid, or it's what you call a crossover. It has multiple genres in there, and you don't give a reference point or a reference song, then I mix it how I hear it, and then all of a sudden you don't like it. And I can never pinpoint, or we as engineers can never pinpoint why you don't like it. You don't like this, you don't like that. And let me share this quick little point. Most times people, they spend time in their rough mix era. They spend time listening to a rough balance from the studio, and now the song is being mixed. Everything is like cleaned up and in perspective. They're hearing the song for the first time because now it's in a different state. Those projects are the most hard to track down, to nail down, to get right. Because for some reason, the client, either are accustomed to hearing yourself one way or a certain way, and now you've heard it a different way and you don't like it. And you can't tell, you can't say, hey. Now, that's where the rough mix comes in play. Well, I usually ask for, pardon me, a rough mix, and I usually ask for a reference, meaning the song sounds like this. For example, like I have Bob Marley in the background. He's right there. Awesome. One of the legends of music in all times. Now, if you have a song and it sounds like, or it has the vibe of Exodus, one of my favorite songs from Bob Marley. It has the vibe of Exodus, exact vibe of Exodus. Then you need to tell me that you're going for that vibe. That way I can know and we can pinpoint what we're going for. Now, if you have a song that doesn't sound like Exodus, or it has the guitar parts in Exodus, or the kick drum in Exodus like you like, and then the vocals in Duppy Conqueror, one of Bob Marley's song that you like, and then the instrumentation of another song. And then you send me 3 songs and want me to merge 3 different things, that's where we're going to have a conversation, because now you're kind of all over the place. All I'm saying is have a reference point. And if you don't, then have, a good expression of how you want it, and rough mixes usually get there. So now we talked about those 3 things, which is understanding the vision, right? To get a good mix so that the engineer can go for that. You can get a good sonic signature on that. And clarity, meaning you're hearing all the instruments, you're hearing all the elements as it relates to a song. If it's just the vocals alone, or, poetry or something else, then obviously you're understanding what needs to be there in terms of clarity. And then the budget, meaning you're giving the person their time, person meaning the engineer, the time to express themselves. Because, as I come to a close, a mix is a simple expression of the engineer. That's what it is. It's bringing all of these elements together. So what's a mix? If you're joining and you're not technical, but you like what you hear so far, or you're seeing it on some pages, what it is, when you go into a recording studio, you record all the elements, musical elements, the keyboards, the drums, the guitars, the bass, the vocals, the background vocals. And so now you have a multi-track of all those elements that you record. Either one time you go, which is a live recording, or you produce, and it's called overdub. Now, what you're doing is taking all those elements, and you're going to put those elements and mix them together, and making sure they are one cohesive sound so that it's audible for people to hear and it's desirable for people to love, right? So when you put that mix together, now you're getting the engineer's expression of how he or she hears that mix and wants to express that mix. How to achieve that is if you give clear direction and understanding, And if you give references, and if you have rough mix, meaning what you've had in the past, which is a draft mix, and they can now say, okay, I see what you were trying to do. Let me just clean it up, right? So we talked about the cost, the value, and the investment. And these are the three things that you need to know before you get a killer mix, a best mix, a great mix. If you want to contact me to talk some more about this, please feel free. I'm stuttering because I'm nervous and these lights are really crazy hot. Feel free to DM me. We can always have a conversation, or you could write on the post here and we can talk some more on the comment section. I'm available to mix your project, mix and master. I've been mixing and mastering for many, many years. I've been in this production business for 23 years, and I am excited to work with your project. I'm excited of what I do. My name is Canute. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for having me. iTunes Entertainment Magazine. I am super, super excited. Thank you so much. All the guys over there, much respect, much love. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next time.